If you want to date a divorced man and not get destroyed by his past, you need to understand what he will never say out loud. Most men over 40 dating after divorce never speak this truth. They aren't afraid of love. They're afraid of losing their peace again. This is how to date a divorced man from his perspective. Here's what you need to know first. A divorced man, especially one over 40, is not a normal single man who just hasn't found the right person yet. He's carrying invisible weight you cannot see. Legal trauma from a system that felt rigged. Financial scars from splitting assets he worked decades to build. The biological exhaustion of starting over when other men his age are coaching Little League with kids who live in their house full time. Dating after divorce for men is fundamentally different because the stakes are no longer theoretical. He's already lost the house. He's already heard the lawyers. He's already explained to his children why daddy doesn't live here anymore. When he meets you for coffee, he's not just evaluating chemistry. He's running a diagnostic. The data shows 67% of divorced men report higher life satisfaction when single compared to new relationships within the first 3 years post-divorce. Read that again. This isn't pessimism. This is pattern recognition. His operating system updated after the divorce. Yours might not have. So what changed? Why do men over 40 dating again choose to stay single even when women are interested? The villain here isn't women. The villain is a system that taught him relationships operate on an incentive structure he no longer believes in. Let me be specific. The biological cost of divorce is asymmetric. Women's dating market value often increases post-divorce, especially if she's under 45, especially if she has primary custody and child support secured. The data is unambiguous. Divorced women remarry at 50% higher rates than divorced men over 40. He watched this play out. His ex-wife remarried within 2 years. He hasn't been on a second date. This creates what I call the relationship tax. Every new connection isn't just evaluated on its own merit. It's weighed against the cost of the last one. $15,000 to $30,000 in legal fees, half his retirement account, every other weekend with his kids instead of every night. Sound familiar? The game didn't just change for him, it revealed itself. The incentives that drive modern dating don't align with his risk tolerance anymore. He's not bitter, he's recalibrated. Now here's where most advice fails. Society tells him, and you, that he needs to heal and open up and trust again. But here's the reframe. He already is healed. The fortress isn't a symptom of damage, it's evidence of learning. The question isn't, is he ready to date? The question is dating worth dismantling what he's built? Let that sink in. Because what you're actually asking when you want to date a divorced man is, can I enter his fortress without requiring him to demolish it? That's the real question. He's not afraid you'll hurt him. He's afraid he'll fail to recognize the same pattern wearing a different face. This is why he watches for early warning signs, like a pilot monitoring engine temperature. Not controlling, monitoring. The first time she says, "You're not emotionally available," his entire body remembers the script that came next last time. After the divorce, it took him 18 months just to afford furniture, 2 years to stop waking up at 3 a.m. calculating lawyer costs, 3 years to enjoy a Sunday morning without dread. That peace is the most expensive thing he owns, and it's fragile. When you ask to define the relationship at month 2, you're not just asking for commitment, you're asking him to risk that peace. on a sample size of 1 date per week. This is the fear he will absolutely never say. He's terrified you see him as a resource, financial stability, father figure for your kids, retirement plan, emotional labor provider, but not as a man, not as someone with his own wounds still healing. If you don't understand these 3 fears, you'll trigger them without even noticing. And he won't explain. He'll just disappear. So how do you date a divorced man over 40 without detonating his defenses? This is the framework. 5 pillars. Not manipulation tactics, architectural principles. Because if you want past his walls, you need to respect why they exist in the first place. Do not push commitment timelines early. Do not demand access to his full calendar. Do not ask to meet his children within the first 6 months unless he offers. For men, dating after divorce is less about chemistry and more about protecting the rebuilt life. If you respect the fortress, you're not an enemy combatant. You're someone who might understand architecture. He has children every other weekend. He has a career he cannot afford to jeopardize. There's no partner's income to fall back on. He has legal obligations, therapy appointments, a gym routine that's medicinal, not optional. When he says, "I can't do Wednesday," he's not playing games. He's managing an ecosystem you don't see. The women who disappear divorced men fastest are those who interpret his schedule as rejection. The relationship tax is simple. Does being with you cost him peace, money, time, or freedom without proportional return? Things women do that immediately flag as high tax. Competence is the signal he's actually looking for. Competence means reliability, emotional stability, low chaos, self-sufficiency. Not neediness disguised as vulnerability. Most people think trust is built through deep conversations and emotional intimacy. For divorced men over 40, trust is built through behavioral consistency over time. He's not impressed by the woman who says, "I've never felt this way before," on date 3. He's impressed by the woman who shows up when she says she will, 6 times in a row. Small data, boring data, reliable data. This is why second marriages have a 63% success rate when the man waits at least 2 years post-divorce. Not because wounds heal, but because enough time passes to observe behavioral patterns, not honeymoon intensity. Finally, here's what makes a divorced man consider opening the fortress door. She has her own built life, career, hobbies, friends, and isn't looking to fill a void. She has patience with his children's presence in his life and doesn't compete for attention. She understands that his ex-wife will always exist in his life and doesn't demand he vilify her. She has clear boundaries of her own and doesn't need him to fix her. She can handle conflict without attacking his character or threatening abandonment. If she has all 5, that's when he starts to believe the fortress doesn't need to be permanent isolation, just selective architecture. Now, some warnings for both sides, because fortress architecture cuts both ways. For women, if you're dating a divorced man to fix him, to be his therapist, to prove you're not like his ex, stop. You will lose. He doesn't need rescue. He needs respect. If his boundaries feel like rejection, you're not ready for a man who knows what peace costs. And for men, don't date when you're still bleeding. Don't date because you're lonely. Don't date to prove you're over her. Don't date because friends say it's time. Dating after divorce for men must start from internal sovereignty, not from loneliness. The right timeline isn't 2 months or 2 years. It's when the fortress is strong enough that opening the door is a choice, not a need. And here's what most will never tell you. You have permission. You have permission to prioritize your peace over society's timeline. You have permission to say not yet or not her without guilt. You have permission to protect your fortress boundaries. The right person will respect your fortress. She won't demand you dismantle it. She'll show you hers. If you've sat across from someone wonderful and felt nothing but dread at the thought of explaining your scars one more time, that's not brokenness. That's pattern recognition. That's your system working. The question for you isn't, when will I be ready? The question is, what am I building that's worth protecting? Because peace is expensive, but isolation is unsustainable. The architecture of your second life must account for both. I am the architect. I will see you in the next blueprint. Sovereign Male Dynamics, Architecture for the New Male Era.